BBC News with Fiona MacDonald. A Ukrainian official has said Russian forces have taken more than 40 villages in the Donbass region as the Kremlin pushes on with its offensive in the east. But Ukraine is continuing to fight back. Anna Aslam reports.
An aide to the Ukrainian president told national television that Russia had taken control of 42 villages in Donetsk, but she said they might take them back tomorrow. Meanwhile, President Volodymyr Zelensky has denied Russia's claims that the strategic city of Mariupol had been captured. He said it wasn't over yet and he was considering both diplomatic and military strategies to help the remaining Ukrainian resistance. He also said Moscow had rejected a proposal for an Easter truce. The United States has promised to send another $800 million worth of military assistance to the war-torn country. But the Ukrainian deputy defense minister has warned that it takes time to arrange the delivery of weapons and urged patience.
The president of the World Bank has said Ukraine has suffered about $60 billion worth of physical damage following Russia's invasion of the country. This estimate does not include the growing economic costs of the war to Ukraine. Faisal Islam has more.
The Ukraine war casts many shadows over global economics. President Zelensky told the world's finance ministers that Ukraine needed $7 billion per month until the summer to keep its services functioning, and said that the Russian blockade of its ports was having an impact on global food prices. The US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said that Russia should be made to pay the cost in one form or another of rebuilding Ukraine, but the US backed Germany's caution on Europe proceeding too fast with further energy sanctions on Russia, saying it could cost Europe more than the Kremlin.
US prosecutors have charged the former president of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez, with conspiring to traffic huge amounts of cocaine into the United States. The US Justice Department says Mr. Hernandez, who was extradited on Thursday, received millions of dollars from drug gangs, including Mexico's Sinaloa cartel. Mr. Hernandez denies wrongdoing and defended his record.
You all know that I worked tirelessly with the purpose to bring peace back to Honduras. We gave our best for our nation, and it is unfortunate that those villains who turned Honduras into one of the world's most violent countries now want to be seen as heroes.
The Arab League has called on Israel to end Jewish prayers in Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, saying it could trigger wider conflict. After an emergency meeting in the Jordanian capital Amman, the Arab League chief said Israel had restricted Muslims in their right of worship, while allowing ultra-nationalist Jews to enter the site under police protection. BBC News. British MPs have agreed to set up an inquiry into whether the Prime Minister Boris Johnson lied to them about parties in Downing Street during lockdown. He's denied this and has rejected calls to step down. The BBC's Nick Watt said Mr Johnson's position is fairly secure in the short term.
I think the most important thing to say is this is not like February, when the Prime Minister's position was really perilous. A big moment for me at that point was I bumped into a very loyalist minister who had a really grim face saying, this is looking awful. I saw that very same minister today and they were very bullish about the Prime Minister's position today. But I think it's fair to say that the Prime Minister does end this week weaker than he began the week, and some of his internal critics are on manoeuvres. I spoke to one former cabinet minister and they said that after the local elections on the 5th of May you can expect to see lots of no confidence letters.
The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has told the leader of the new Presidential Council for Yemen that it's necessary to seize the momentum from recent positive developments in the country. Mr Blinken spoke by phone to Rashad al-Alimi. A truce between the government and the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels is still largely holding. A US Air Force veteran who led a campaign to finance the former President Donald Trump's planned wall along the Mexico border has pleaded guilty to fraud. Brian Colfidge and 3 others, including Mr Trump's former advisor Steve Bannon, were accused of taking donors' money for their personal use. Researchers say the largest ever analysis of thousands of tumours has unveiled numerous clues about the causes of cancer. A team led by the University of Cambridge said the data from whole genome sequences had allowed them to detect patterns in the DNA of cancers, potentially revealing how better to treat them. BBC News.